Hello and welcome to this week's look at action and stunts on film and television. How are you? Thanks for rejoining me. Now, on the podcast this week on Wednesday, you will have listened to the story of David Holmes and the new documentary that's come out, the David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived, a remarkable story of his short-lived career in stunts, starting out being chosen to do the Lost in Space movie, if you remember that, from the late 90s, and then being approached to work on the Harry Potter pictures. And of course it was Deathly Hallows where he had his life-changing accident. So we went through the documentary, or a part of the documentary there on Wednesday, and what I wanted to try and show you was some sort of contrast based on David before the accident and after. And the only thing that is different is his physicality. The rest of David is exactly the same. His attitude towards life, his outlook on life, his positivity is unbelievable, and it takes a great deal of, there's something else going on here that takes a great deal of stability in here to be able to accept and continue your life to a high standard, but in other areas. From a tutorial perspective, he's still a great teacher, and is able to do so many things now. But it's the only thing that's he's unable to do is the physical nature of the work that he loved so much. So the first thing to look at here is some of the stunts and the behind-the-scenes goings-on of the Harry Potter pictures. And then we'll regroup after that, and we'll move on to a wonderful interview that David did quite recently. Here we go.
Are the kind of unsung heroes of the industry, really. The crew for Harry Potter was coordinated by a guy called Greg Powell. Greg's been in the industry for many, many years, and he's got this team of people, and they're like a kind of football team of stunt players.
I've kept the same guys, the doubles, all the way through, because at the time the doubles was growing up with the kids as well, and they got to learn everything. They become very friendly.
Greg put Dan with David Holmes, and for 6 films David and Dan would work out together. They became really good friends.
I built a great relationship up with Daniel. I used to be his PE teacher, physical training lessons. He used to have 2 or 3 lessons a week with me. I consider him one of my closest friends now, really. I love him to pieces. He's a real good boy. I'm very proud to be a part of his life and to see how he's progressed as an actor. It's been great.
So, as you can see, lots of physical action, great group of people, and Greg in charge, understanding that, the kids, they're not just coming along, doing the job, going home again. They are pals. They get to the stage where they are friends and continue to build relationships right the way through. This next piece to look at is a great interview done very recently on This Morning, where David talks to the hosts in regard to his story, the documentary, and the situation, the physical situation that he's been left in. But what I want you to do particularly is just the incredible vision and strength that he has, and he's very clearly uplifting the 2 presenters in this as well. This is a great watch. Enjoy this.
And David joined us now from his home in Essex. Good morning, David.
Hi, David.
Good morning, Rochelle. Good morning, Craig. How are we, team?
We're very good,
are
thanks,
very
pal.
well,
Very
thank
good
you.
indeed.
Better for talking to you. Now, before we talk about the documentary, tell us a little bit about how you first became a stuntman.
Wow. I was a gymnast. I used to train at South Essex Gymnastics Club, which is where Max Whitlock is from. And my gymnastics coach was a stuntman. He was called by stunt coordinator Greg Powell when I was at the age of 14. I was called into a film called Lost in Space in 1997, and I spent a summer in Shepperton Studios up to all sorts of mischief. So from there, from there we done a day's work on Bedazzled, and then Greg mentioned that he might be doing the Harry Potter films. I went out, got the books, read the books, realised it was one of the coolest stories ever. And then I was called in for the first broomstick test on Harry Potter. So they strapped me to a broomstick on the back of a truck, drove it down the runway at Leavesden Studios at a high speed. Someone had gifted me a cloak, and because I'd already read the books, I was like, OK, I know how to fly. So, yeah, that was the first day's stunt rehearsal, and that's when we found out how we was going to do Quidditch, and then also got the stunt double part for Harry Potter. It was hard to work out how we was going to do it, and obviously getting a load of kids to jump out of an aeroplane with a broomstick between their legs is kind of uninsurable. So,
I'd imagine so.
There you go. That was my journey into the films.
And look, the books were amazing, but I don't think anyone thought it was going to be as big as it became. But your friendship with Daniel Radcliffe is really interesting, because it sounds like, and no disrespect, Dan, if you're watching, you were cool, he was kind of geeky, and you had to kind of teach him how to look kind of a bit more like an athlete, didn't you?
Yeah, well, we was shooting in Alnwick Castle up in Newcastle, and that scene where Oliver Wood first shows Harry the quaffles and gives him a bat, and he has to swing the bat and hit the ball. Well, as soon as Dan swung the bat, me and Greg looked at each other. Greg removed his cigar and he said, I think we've got some work to do. So I went on to be Dan's PE instructor. Yeah, I know, right? And then twice a week, Dan would come to the stunt department. We would shut the stunt stores, and I'd just let him be a kid. We were jumping off of port cabins, on trampolines, swinging swords, doing boxing, judo, and just literally playing. And it built the foundation of his physicality that you see now. So I take great pleasure in seeing, you know, what he does with his stunt work. And just, I recently saw him on stage in New York, and yeah, a very high tuck jump blew my mind. And it's nice to vicariously live through that.
Yeah, well done.
I bet. Did you were 17 at the time that you joined the cast, and obviously I suppose grew up on the set like, you know, a lot of the stars did. Did you have any idea at the time sort of what this was going to be?
Well, it was a big risk for Warner's because it was a large budget to go with at the start. So at the first two films, which is what everyone signed up for, it was still an unknown. But we was on the second film when the first premiere hit, and we just started to realise the size of it. And then the fourth book came out whilst we were doing the first couple. And then that massive press tour and the build-up, seeing kids camp outside bookshops for 24 hours just to get the first glimpse of the books. We sort of realised that this is a big thing. So what was amazing is I got to read the books and just imagine all the stunts that I'd be doing. Yeah. So I've still got a book in my library of all the little Post-it notes of where I was like, I could be doing that, I could be doing that. And
wow.
Yeah, not many people had that amazing opportunity. Yeah.
So
cool.
special.
David, impressive before your accident, even more impressive after your accident, particularly with your positivity. And with that in mind, I know you don't like to dwell on what happened too much because you're always looking forward, but just take us to that day and, you know, you knew straight away something serious had happened and life had changed forever, right?
Yeah, I kept consciousness through the accident, and we were doing a stunt rehearsal, a stunt that I'd done loads of times. And stunt work is always pushing the boundaries of action. And I don't think any stunt performer should be going to work without understanding the risks. Obviously, I didn't expect an injury as bad as what I got. But yeah, it was just one of those things, a freak accident, and I just decided to, you know, in life you can either be a victim or a survivor, and I picked the second one.
You absolutely did. You remain so positive. Obviously, you've gone on to make the documentary with Daniel, and he, I suppose, is one of the reasons that the documentary came about.
Yeah, we started a podcast series a few years ago where I wanted to just highlight the skills and the contribution that my friends in the film industry and the stunt industry actually do. We risk our lives for the power of storytelling, and we don't get recognition in the big awards, and we're, you know, as a department, quite shunned in that front. So it was just nice to build a podcast series, and I'm going to be careful how I say it. Are you ready? It's called Cunning Stunts. And
Very well done,
the
very
podcast
well done.
series.
I've been haunted. I've been haunted by the fact I might have to say that. So I'm so glad.
I literally thought, Craig, I'm going to let you say that.
Funny. So yeah, so that podcast series just reflects on some of the amazing stories and contributions that my friends in the stunt game would give. So we originally started filming those, and then Dan always wanted to turn the camera onto me and reflect my story and my positivity. I was very reluctant at the start, and he just was, you know, we first looked at the footage and he realised that maybe directing a documentary as a first timer was not really the best option for him and us in the way we wanted to tell the story. So we brought on a director, Dan Hartley, who worked with us on the Harry Potter films. And I worked with my friend Amy Stairs as producer, Vanessa Davies. And we built a unit and a team of people that I could trust and that I love. And we were able to be as open and as honest as what you guys have seen in the doc. Yeah, it's been a journey, and onwards and upwards for me.
You're a great human being. You're a wonderful storyteller, and this is a must-watch documentary. David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived. It's available to watch on Sky Documentaries. And David, you actually haven't seen it yet, so one day, I know you plan on doing that when the time is right for you. You'll be impressed with yourself because you're an impressive man.
You really will.
So much for joining us. Okay, have a great Christmas.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, team. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Craig. I hope life is kind to you both. And to all your listeners out there, if you want to give back this Christmas, I have a charity that's set up for the hospital that looked after me. If you'd like to kick back, then look at my Instagram and the GoFundMe for the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital. And please give to the NHS, the greatest institution of what a functioning democracy could be.
Well done,
said.
you.
Well said. Well done.
Thank
Good
you
man.
very
Brilliant
much,
stuff.
David. Take care of yourself. See you.
It just makes you feel good about life, right? As positivity
What a
as...
guy.
So there you go. Just, you know, he's just up to the brim with positivity. It's magnificent. And any of those options that you would like to do, there will be notes in the notes down there if you want to click on the GoFundMes, or you want to support any of the charities that David is currently working for. They're all listed down below. And that's it for this week. Next week we move on to something else. I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget to check out the Pod Dojo Network, who are responsible for this podcast and all of the shows that we bring you here. And until next time, it's bye for now.